Why does the program work? The program works because it is the combination of all the elements that go into writing persuasively. And so it actually captures not just the writing process, but it also captures the pre-writing process, which is thinking. And it's not asking you to think with a blank sheet of paper in front of you, it's asking you to think aloud and talk it over with your teacher or talk it over with your fellow students. And so there's a multi-level approach that it takes, and it seems so effortless as the teacher is going through the different elements of the program. So first and foremost, when you read a story, what do you want to do next? Well, the logical thing is to tell it back and to talk about it, what happened in that story. And then once you really fully understand the story, once you've talked about it, you don't realize it, but it's actually sinking in deeper into your imagination. It becomes a part of who you are. It becomes a story that you've logged in your brain, and it will come back to haunt you when you least expect it. And then you want to talk about it. You want to talk about the story that you have you've narrated back. You want to ask questions about it so that you can get at some of the ideas. You want to. There are those delightful nuts in a story that you need to crack, and get the shell off, and see what's inside, so you have something more to think about, to chew on, so to speak. And then when you've talked about that with your class, the next natural step is to go a little bit deeper with that story. Process some words that maybe you didn't understand the first time through. Talk about the vocabulary used. Talk about the point of view. Talk about whether some of the characters are dynamic or whether they're static characters. These ideas are all fully explained in the course of the program. And then after that, the part I love the most is the imitative aspect of the program. You can take that story and you no longer see it as this fixed set of paragraphs, but it's actually like modeling clay. You can mold it, you can shape it. You can make it smaller or shorter. You can make it longer, you can augment it. You can add conversation, you can add description. You can take a spin on it. You can move from first person to third person or back from third person to first person. There's so many ways you can shape and mold a fine story. And again, not only does it sink in when you talk about it, but when you write about that story, that it becomes more and more part of you. And finally, you want to share what you've written. And so that sharing part comes out in different ways. You can share about it by reading it out loud. Go home and share it with your siblings or your parents, or share it in class with a partner, a student partner, or your teacher. And then you can talk about it. How did your augmentation or your condensation, how did these things work? Did it work well? Are the ideas all fully there? Or how did you changing that story make it different? How do you conclude differently about the ideas? It's the whole thing. It's the whole 9 yards, the whole enchilada, if you want to call it. Going from hearing a story passively to actually engaging the story on all sorts of different levels, from the critical thinking level to the level of going deeper into the word choice, the diction, to finally to imitating it yourself. And then ultimately, you want your writing to be the very best it can, and so you revise it.